As they were still in town.
Please stand for the pledge. Angela, roll call, please.
Counselor Bronson,
Present.
Counselor Hagee,
Here.
Counselor Richards,
Here.
Counselor Sanchez,
Here.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Here.
Mayor Coleman,
Present.
Counselor Osberger.
Here.
Let the record show that there are 7 present and 0 absent. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. In the consent agenda today, we have 3 sets of minutes. You can always pull one set out if you would like to discuss it. Otherwise, you can make a motion to approve of them all.
So moved as recommended.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Angela, please call for a vote.
Counselor Hagee,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Osberger,
Yes.
Counselor Bronson.
Let the record show that we have 7 ayes and no nays to approve the consent agenda. Before we get into things this evening, I just wanted to say that I appreciate everybody who's come out tonight. And I just want you to look around the room and just note that each of us lives in an amazing country, America, and we are all Americans. And we live in the city of Sweet Home, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And we are all sweet homies. So no matter if we have differing opinions, let's just agree to respect one another on our opinions before we move forward, okay? But we do have one exciting piece of agenda item to go over before we get to public comment. I'm going to pass it on to Police Chief.
Madam Mayor, Council, I am pleased to present a life-saving award tonight. I'm going to call Officer Daniel Gerkman up front. I'm going to put you on the spot right up here. One of the really cool things about working at Sweet Home PD, and particularly when we're on patrol here, is we have the opportunity to scan other agencies' radio frequencies. And oftentimes we will scan Sweet Home Fire District's frequency. And there are times, particularly like this one, where a call will come in through the fire district. And in this particular situation, it was a cardiac arrest type of call. It was really cool. Officer Gerkman and another officer were scanning on this day. And what is so significant about being able to scan these calls is we're out in the field already. And oftentimes we're able to show up to these medical calls and provide life-saving, work at these locations. And so I just wanted to highlight that and read this certificate that I've created. I also have a medal for Officer Gerkman, but this is what the certificate says. City of Sweet Home, Oregon Life-Saving Medal. This certificate proudly presented to Officer Daniel Gerkman in recognition of exceptional life-saving actions. On January 21st, 2025, at approximately 4:31 p.m., Officer Daniel Gerkman responded to a medical emergency at 2458 Long Street in Sweet Home, Oregon, after medics were dispatched to the scene. Upon arrival, he found an unresponsive male in the doorway of the travel trailer and quickly assessed the situation. Without hesitation, he immediately began administering CPR and provided critical life-saving measures until medical personnel arrived and took over care. His swift and decisive actions significantly contributed to the patient's survival and recovery. Officer Gerkman's professionalism, quick response, and commitment to preserving life reflect the highest standards of Sweet Home Police Department and are deserving of this recognition. So with that, Officer Gerkman, I am so thankful to work with you. He is also our traffic officer, and he's done a phenomenal job this last year in that position. And so with that, I want to shake your hand, and let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Officer Gerkman, for caring for the people of Sweet Home. It's always good to start with good news like that. Thank you, Police Chief Ogden. We're going to go into public comment time. Please keep in mind that there are some rules that we were going over, rules for council and city managers, and these are the rules for citizens when they come and speak. Citizens acknowledged by the chairperson to address the council shall step up to the microphone at this table here, give their name, address, and subject matter of their comments in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the chairperson tonight, actually all times, shall limit the address to 3 minutes. Tonight, the microphone will turn off at 3 minutes so that we can keep this going and hear from everybody who's wanted to speak this evening. So I'm going to go through them as they were received, except for those that are inside city limits as they were received. It's unusual.
Six B simply says that they will be afforded a chance to speak. The only time limit provided is under 6.
City attorney, can you check into that, please? Because I have 2A on my form here.
So, I'll take a look right now, but I will also comment that the public comment period is not on an agenda item. If people would like to speak on separate agenda items, then that can be taken care of when those agenda items come up in the meeting specifically. But if you want to have general comments, those certainly can be limited to 3 minutes.
That's what I was stating. I thought that this moment here was for the agenda item, or is it just regular public comment on no agenda?
This is for public comment.
Agenda?
No, just public comment. Recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions. That's where we're at on the agenda. Oh, city attorney.
If you don't mind, so I will look into his comments regarding public comments on agenda items, but
Okay.
you certainly may proceed when it comes to the general hearing of petitions portion of the meeting.
I am currently dividing them out according to agenda topic, but some have marked public hearing. We don't have a public hearing tonight, correct?
Might I suggest while City Attorney Larson is looking into this, if you want to just go ahead and call folks up, and if you could indicate whether you are here for a general comment or a specific agenda item, we can put those here for the specific agenda item to the side while this is resolved.
The first one I have that is marked with public comment is Denise Lovejoy. This is on the sheet that was marked by the individual and is marked as public comment, and we are in the public comment period, which is a 3-minute period. So Denise Lovejoy, please have a seat and give your name and your address. Thank you.
Well, yes, I'm Denise Lovejoy, and I live at 1172 43rd in Sweet Home. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak. And as a community member, I'm speaking for myself, but I did have to write down things because I'm not a very good speaker. As a community member, I'm speaking for myself and some others to respectfully request that certain council members please stop continually trying to manipulate board members and local press and political parties to create chaos and dysfunction for what appears to be personal gain and to advance personal political ambitions. Please focus on what is the best interest of the taxpayers in Sweet Home. For example, the taxpayers of Sweet Home should not have to spend over $10,000 to put a measure on the ballot for this May, when it would be free if we put it on the ballot in 2026, when the next council election is anyway. Many believe this is simply an attempt to undermine the mayor for personal gain. And we also appreciate the work of the mayors, Susan Coleman, Ken Jacola, and others who got the Corps of Engineers to modify the dam drawdown policies, which will ultimately improve the water quality issues for Sweet Home and Lebanon residents. Others on the board are on record saying that nothing could be done about this. But many of us expect the city council to just focus on the daily functional issues of Sweet Home residents and leave the hidden agendas serving personal and political ambitions out of the local work that needs to be done here. And try to save as much funds as we can for other issues that Sweet Home needs.
Thank you. Don Miller.
My name is Don Miller, 331 8th Avenue, Sweet Home, Oregon. I'm here to basically state some facts. I am the chief petitioner of the petition that actually started the direct referral, all of this. Over the weekend, several things brought to my attention that, I don't know, my petition had morphed into a recall of you. That was never the intention. This was never an intention to be a personal attack on a sitting mayor. This or any other mayor that has sat on this dais. This is a desire the people of Sweet Home have consistently and repeatedly asked to have happen. A charter change allowing the people to have their voice. Nothing more. Nothing more. It's a clean, quick solution to a need the people have voiced over and over and over. Most recently, a charter was convened. A charter review committee was convened April 27th, 2021, to which no consensus was met and nothing was done. No recommendation to council. Council failed to even, it just died. It just died. There was nothing. So that stopped. We didn't convene another charter review committee until December of this year or last year. It still has failed to even say when we might be able to hear when that meeting's going to happen. Are we going to be able to? We're standing out here going, we want our choice to vote the mayor in, regardless of who the mayor is. This petition does nothing to jeopardize your position. Your term will finish out, and then we will start afresh. That's really all it amounts to, and that's really all I have to say about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Teresa Howard. Remember name and address for the record, please.
My name is Teresa Howard. I live at 1253 Linden Court in Sweet Home. And the same thing I said the last city council meeting is we want to have a vote. Susan, I love you. I think you're awesome. You could run for mayor. What a novel idea. If the council would let you. And I'd vote for you. But the scare tactics have got to stop. We're not trying to kick you out. You know, it's just we want to be heard. We're intelligent people. We're not a bunch of dummies. We know what this city needs. We like to have a voice, and we don't have a voice. That's all we want is to have a voice and elect a mayor of our choosing. I voted for 2 of the 4 new council members because I believed them when they said they were in favor of this change in the election. But now I don't believe in them any longer. I can't because they lied. They just flat out lied to us. They got their seats. They lied. That's as simple as it is. So, yeah, you've lost me as a believer. I'd get somebody else in there next time. Don't run.
David Lohman.
I'm David Lohman, 2230 Main Street, Sweet Home. I'm here today to ask City Council to do the right thing. Put on the ballot to change the city charter to let the people vote and elect the next mayor here in Sweet Home instead of 4 out of 7 council members appointing who they want as mayor of Sweet Home without any community input. I got a question for all of you 7 council members. Do any of you know how many registered voters are here in Sweet Home? Does anybody know that answer? Does anybody want to give me
This
a
is
number?
Not a question and answer time. This
Okay.
is public comment time.
There is 7,707 registered voters here in Sweet Home. So what we're asking for is to let the 7,707 voters have a hand in voting our next mayor in instead of just 4 voting for who they want as mayor. You want to say it's going to be expensive to put it on the ballot in May? Well, you already have 2 levies on it, and I do think they are very important to our city. An extra paragraph on the ballot isn't going to cost $10,000 like you estimate it to be. So stop telling whoppers of lies, just like the city buying the old feed store at 1244 Long Street for $260,000 without informing the city taxpayers about it. It's built, the building is just sitting there. How about making it the new library? It's larger than the old one, and it also has 2 floors. So $260,000 is a lot more than $1,000, $2,000, even $10,000 of the taxpayers' money. Even if it is $10,000, that would be less than $1.30 per voter, and that's less than a cup of coffee these days. So I say again, just do the right thing. Put it on the ballot in May of 2025 to see how the voters vote. The community is watching you all. My neighbors are watching all you, and I am watching you. So just do the right thing and make the community of Sweet Home happy. Thank you for the time to speak.
Nancy Patton. Nancy Patton.
Nancy Patton, 3041 Foothills Drive, Sweet Home, Oregon. I brought my notes so I don't go over my 3 minutes like I usually do. But may I open in prayer?
Sure.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this time that all of us in Sweet Home can gather together for this important meeting. Thank you for every single person that is here. They are here because you brought them to this community. We all need to work together, be together, and I thank you for each council person that sits here and every staff member that's here today. And thank you for all these things in your name. Amen. All right. I practiced this and I cried, so, okay, here we go. 55 years ago, my husband, Larry Patton, was 19 years old and was drafted to Vietnam. He just graduated from high school and had a different direction for his future. Sorry. But he went to war and served our country for the freedoms each one of us in this room have today. One of those is the freedom to vote for the people and issues we think are important. Today I come before you having trouble accepting the cost of putting the mayor on the ballot. Is really the reason you don't want to put the actual issue before the voters. You have already put 2 other issues on the ballot at some cost. Any issue that the city puts on a ballot will have cost associated with that ballot item. I see city council pass many motions that cost money. Sometimes you discuss the cost, this versus that cost of that, and then make a decision on which way to go. But never has there been so much distraction, backbiting, hand-wriggling, and hate over the cost. Sorry, it's been tough. I hear it and I see it in public and on social media. So I really think that you don't fear the cost. I think you fear the answer to the question put before the voters, and therefore don't want it on the ballot. Once again, I have reminded you at previous council meetings, all of you have been placed here by the citizens that believe in you and trust you. It's your time, and thank you for serving. Now I urge you to do the right thing, put the mayor on the ballot this May, to go before the voters. It's a freedom we have for our family and community that we live in. Thank you.
City Attorney, do you have any updates?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. So unfortunately, this is an area where the council rules are not as clearly drafted as I would like them to be. Paragraph 6 concerns citizen duties at city council meetings. There's a subparagraph B that's agenda items that does not say anything about a time limit. And there's a subparagraph C that says non-agenda items that includes a time limit that may be limited between 3 and 5 minutes. And then there is a further subparagraph D on speakers' conduct that says that speakers in general shall limit their address to 3 minutes. And so while there is a lack of a time limit under B agenda items, any of those people count as speakers and so would fall under subparagraph D, which would also include the requirement to limit to 3 minutes.
Thank you. We will move forward with the rest of the public comments, or do we put them underneath the agenda items as some are not clear?
It's up to certainly what you can do is call for general comments right now, and then when the agenda item is introduced, you could also have specific comments at that time.
Okay, let's just open up the next agenda item and then I'll call the rest of the people forward who it looks like they're for the agenda item. So under new business is request for council action resolution number 6 for 2025 charter amendment referral for direct election of the mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman, and actually City Attorney Larson will be giving the presentation.
It's not a presentation, but a report. So at the council work session on February 11th, the city council by consensus indicated a desire to have this on the agenda for tonight. And so I drafted a ballot measure that would fit with what was discussed at that meeting. And the text of that amendment would be essentially just changing a couple areas of the charter to change it to 3 counselors being elected at each biennial election instead of 4, and then to have a mayor elected at each biennial election. The counselors would have terms of 4 years, and the mayor would have terms of 2 years. And that is all that it changes. The text is in your packet where it shows the specific language that would be deleted in strikeout font, and then in bold would have the added wording. In order to meet the deadlines imposed by the applicable state statutes, a resolution referring this matter to the voters at the May 20th, 2025 election would have to be passed by the City Council no later than February 28th. The attached resolution and the attachments include all the documents that must be approved by the council in order to do this. If approved by the voters, the very first election that would be impacted by this amendment is in November 2026. And any councilor wishing to run for mayor at that election would have to declare his or her candidacy for mayor and would not be able to seek a city council seat. If a councilor was elected mayor and that councilor's current term would not end at the end of 2026, then upon his or her swearing in, there would immediately be a vacant seat on the council, which would need to be filled by the council. And so there is a scenario where this creates an unelected person, because this amendment does not include any language of what to do in that circumstance. If this resolution is not passed, then, oh, hold on, I'm skipping something. Next, there's been some talk about financial impacts. The financial impacts of this matter are staff time and election filing fees, which I know there's been some estimates, but we don't have any firm numbers that I'm aware of from Lynn County. There's been some guesses. However, we have found that for each measure that is on the ballot, there is a separate fee. And so having multiple measures on the ballot does not change the fact that there are costs associated with each one of them. We don't get a discount for having a third measure on the ballot. So as noted at the work session, any city measures that take place in odd numbered years impose a cost on the city, while city measures that take place in even numbered years can be placed on the ballot at no cost. So the next steps. If this resolution is passed, the ballot title in it will be filed tomorrow with the city elections official, who must then publish receipt of the ballot title in a newspaper of general circulation in the city. At that point, any citizen who is dissatisfied with the ballot title has 7 days to petition the circuit court in Albany to review it. After that 7-day period, the city elections official will file the measure with the county elections official, who will assign a measure number, and the measure would be on the May 20th, 2025 ballot. If this resolution is not passed, the same charter amendment can be considered by the Charter Review Committee for their recommendation. In addition, the City Council could pass a similar resolution to place this or another charter amendment on the November 2025, which would also incur a fee, or the May 2026 ballot, which would be free. And there would still be time for that charter amendment for the impacted election, which would be November 2026. And so you have before you the resolution. Anything written in the resolution, if you disagree with it, may be, of course, amended. Attached to that resolution is the ballot title that I drafted, which also can be changed. The main thing is that with the ballot title, we are limited in the number of words that we can have. And so as you can see in there, you can see what the word count is right now. If there are any changes you would like to make or any questions you have, I'm happy to take those questions at this time.
Okay. Counselors, you can ask questions right now, or we could actually just go straight to public comment, and then we'll have counselors ask questions.
I have questions.
You would like to start with your questions, or would you like to wait?
I want to ask our city attorney some questions here. So as I interpret this, if we want to save some money and be financially prudent, we put this on the May 2026 ballot. And we get the best of both. We save some money we have a vote from the people. And we also can resolve some of the issues like an unelected council member having to be appointed by the council due to a council member running for mayor, being elected to mayor. Then it's not the people selecting for the council. It's going to be 5 councilors because you're going to have one that's out and one that doesn't exist yet. So that's one of those questions we have to address. But the main thing, it gives us time. It gives us opportunity for the people to vote. And number 3, it's fiscally responsible that we're not spending money that we don't need to. Is that correct?
So that was a long question. I will say that
those 3 points.
Right. When it comes to spending money, my understanding is that the May 2025 ballot would incur a fee. The November 2025 ballot would also incur a fee, and the May 2026 ballot would not incur any fee.
And that's why I'm saying May 2026.
And the language, the way this amendment is written, the very first election that would involve any citizen being able to cast a vote for mayor would be November 2026. So there are 2 elections prior, at this time, there are 3 elections prior to that time that something could be on the ballot.
So it gives us all the options we're looking for without a downside.
Again, the very first election that anybody would be voting for mayor, the soonest it would be November 26, November of 2026, which means you have up until the very last election before then would be May 26. May of 26.
Yeah, it works. Thank you.
I'd like to just make a couple of comments regarding this whole thing. I just want to say, Sweet Home, there's rumors that start, and whatever the recall thing about me that started, I have no idea where that came from. And I just want to say that I never thought Councilor Sanchez was doing a recall for me, and I just want her to know that. And I don't know who started that rumor, to tell you the truth. And I was surprised by that myself. I also want to say I'm not concerned about running for mayor. If I want to run for mayor, I'm not concerned about that as it being on the ballot. I would like to voice Councilor Bronson's concerns as well, that there are some questions within this language that we just received at the last council meeting that leave some holes. But because it doesn't change any election until November of 2026, it seems to me that it's fiscally irresponsible to put it on this ballot. It doesn't necessarily mean it won't go on a ballot. It just means we'll be paying for this instead of waiting to reevaluate the language. The Charter Review Committee has this as one of their top priorities to review and hold public hearings regarding. But also there are a number of other items in our charter. Some of you have sat through what the LOC reviewed. There are another number of other items in our charter that the Charter Review Committee is going to review that might end up going to the ballot anyhow. So then a charter item would end up on the ballot 2 different times. So I think that it's just a bit premature. And I believe that Pro Tem Thorstad is going to do an excellent job in opening up and convening that meeting and also getting plenty of public input. I don't think anybody needs to malign anybody's character in this process. And to the question that was raised regarding when is that going to convene, we are actively working on finding a time when those that have been appointed to that committee can actually meet. So that is actually in process. Are there any other questions of councilors before I go to public comment?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So I just want to counter what you said about fiscally irresponsible. What I think is irresponsible is not listening to the taxpayers of this community and what their requests are with their money. I also want to say that we have a $97 million budget, and this is 0.0001% potentially in question. So for that regards, I think that it's irresponsible to not listen to the members of the community and what they would wish.
Madam,
No, Counselor Sanchez, I think that you need to be careful on maligning people's character. Also, keep in mind that those that are present here are not the entire community, as I have heard from dozens and dozens of people that don't want to show up because they do not want to be targeted on social media. And those voices I also hear. And those voices are the people that are also being included in this thought process. Counselor.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to make my point clear. Sorry, that was a kind of a distraction there. I just want to say I'm 100% for getting this on there as fast as we can because it's the morally right thing to do. And I think for far too many decades we put it off and haven't voted on a mayor. So I think it's damn time we do.
May I heard that there are lots of folks that are not here that also have a voice. And so when we put it on the ballot, it will give all the voters their voice. And so I am definitely in favor of putting it on the ballot as soon as possible.
Any other counselors who'd like to speak up right now?
I just had some clarifying questions. Since the charter review in 2021, correct? Was there any petition? Has there been any other discussion since then from the public?
No formal communication to the city council has been addressed here. No, not right now.
And then another couple of questions just about the, if it does incur costs. As the city council, we have goals, right? And some of those goals weren't met last year due to funding. So it just seems like we're rushing into this when that money could have been used to help meet those goals that the council set before us. So.
Madam Mayor, may I? There's a charter review committee that you spoke of, but my understanding from that committee is that those individuals were appointed. So our other boards and committees, Parks Board, Library Board, my understanding is that individuals from the community can apply to be on that. And it feels as though the Charter Review Committee, everyone on that committee was appointed.
That is correct. According to the charter, as LOC pointed out when they were here for their training just before this, is technically the mayor has the authority to appoint all members of all committees in the city of Sweet Home. Historically, for the committees, people have applied and applications have gone through the Admin and Finance Committee, except for those on the Charter Review Committee. That has always been appointed by the mayor, even though the charter actually says that the mayor can appoint all committee members. So in the process of appointing committee members to the Charter Review Committee, I sought for people who've disagreed with me publicly and who have a keen understanding of information. And I went out and sought individuals in the community from a wide variety of avenues to serve on that committee. And I had the authority under the charter to do so.
I have a question. Blair, my biggest concern is if we have 4 counselors that run for mayor, 3 of them get thrown out, 1 wins. We have 3 vacancies. We could potentially lose our quorum. And then we would be in the same boat that the people are complaining about us appointing somebody. Then we would have 3 counselors that would be appointed, not elected. And I'm not for appointments. So I would like to have some clarity on what we can do and change. If we can change the wording to this tonight to where we would have a backup plan for that, that's my question.
So certainly the charter can be amended in multiple ways, and language could be added that would resolve some issues like that. It's mainly the problem with charters and legislation is often you don't know what amendment needs to be made until you've seen it be necessary to make. So it's hard to predict exactly what may happen. As you say, it is possible that you could have 4 sitting councilors who still have, let's see, we have, how many do we have that are midterm? So at the November 2026 election, there will be, I believe 4 of you have your terms expire at the end of 2026. And so theoretically, you could have all 4 of those folks throw their hat in the ring for mayor and run, which could leave the council with 3 vacancies to fill, or possibly even 4 vacancies to fill in January of 27. So it does put the city in a little bit of a pickle. You could put some language in the charter that in order to run for mayor, you would have to resign your seat, and that way perhaps you could have those seats on the ballot as well for the election. But we'd have to work on the language. If that's the will of the council, it probably would make this meeting longer while we try to draft some things and see whether that would work.
And just to clarify, based on the presentation last week, there is not actually a resign to run law. So if you are midterm, you do not have to resign your seat to run for mayor. So if you run for mayor and you lose, you would still be able to finish the remainder of your term as councilor.
True.
Madam Mayor, may I say something?
Mm-hmm.
So is it true that it's just a single subject? So each different charter review ballot measure has to be a single subject? We can't add something additionally to this. We do have in our charter vacancies. We can change in our charter for special election in the charter review committee that can align with the time frame necessary if that's what we want to do. But delaying this for those fears, I'm concerned about that because we still have time to make that deadline for the November 2026 with the Charter Review Committee for the vacancies issues, for the special elections issues, and it has to be single subject. So
and I would need to do some more research on the single subject. It's arguable that changes to the charter in general would be considered that single subject. And so any amendment to the charter could be considered a same topic. Because the single subject, the law as it relates to that is talking about any measure that the city could put on the ballot. But as you say, yes, there is time. There are additional elections that other charter amendments could be placed on. You could have a charter amendment on each election between now and November 2026. So certainly there's time.
If there's nothing further from counselors right now, I'm going to call the public forward.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Just have
Councilor
another
Yeah.
quick question. I'm not sure if it's for Counselor. So the running for mayor, it's open to everybody who lives inside the city limits that can vote. Okay. Is there any sort of training before they become mayor? Would it just be the first meeting? They just come in?
It's the same training that you get as counselors prior to being elected, which is to say none.
So theoretically, we could just have somebody come in, that chose to run, hasn't been up here before, and run the meeting right off the bat. All the ordinance and all that stuff. So
As soon as that person was sworn in, they would be the chairperson of the council and responsible for those things. Yeah.
Madam Mayor, may I? To just kind of go along with what he said, but if that's who the people of Sweet Home voted in as their mayor, then that's who they would have voted to run their meetings. So, I mean, I understand what he's saying as far as that they may not have the training, but we're elected by the people, all of us, including any potential mayor that may be on the ballot. So I do understand what he's saying, but I don't see how that is a concern.
I think we need to watch how we say those things, just because if somebody's concerned, we shouldn't. Yeah, all of our concerns should be equal. So
I apologize for that. I just wanted to clarify that I feel like they get to choose the 7,707 voters get to choose.
And your point is valid. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from counselors before I go to the public? I'm going to call them forward in order that they were handed to me. Alana Sanchez, please come forward to this microphone and give your name and your address for record.
There, my name is Alana Sanchez, 2415 Long Street. And I just want to say that it really has shocked me what has happened with all of this. I'm actually kind of disgusted how people have acted. It has nothing to do with who's the mayor. It has everything to do with the people having a voice in who comes and runs our town. If it's appointed by what, four people out of 7,000, I do not think that is okay whatsoever. It just, we want to have a say in what goes on. That's really what it comes down to. It has nothing to do with who's mayor now, who's mayor was. It has everything to do. Money shouldn't be, if we have a budget, you guys, the council, the mayor, whoever has wasted money on other things. So I'm thinking that this would be a good way as a taxpayer to put it in. It's not rushing. It's been needed and wanted for quite a long time. So just do it, get it on the ballot, get it done. Do not prolong it, because then it's just going to either get brushed under the rug and not remembered, or we're going to have to do all of this again here in a few years. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Matthew Bechtel.
Matthew Bechtel, 108 Holly Road, Sweet Home. As the chairman of the budget committee, I feel I would not be doing my duty if I failed to come forward to ask some questions about the proposed change to the city charter, questions that we should answer before a decision is made. What is the exact cost to add this item to the ballot? Why should Sweet Home taxpayers pay for this addition to the ballot? If it's true, there won't be a cost to Sweet Home if we delay until next year. If that number is not known, does it make sense to proceed? Are we certain that adding a charter revision to the ballot now will not jeopardize approval for the levies our police and library services rely on? My concern is this. Will citizens become disgruntled with the additional expense and vote against the levies, especially if they perceive that the city has surplus money? Will the city's operations be impaired in any way if this decision is put before the voters next year? If voters approve a charter revision this year, and if the effects of such an approval would not be implemented until November 2026 anyway, and if there will be another ballot in May when this matter can be placed at no additional cost to the taxpayers, then why is there any urgency at all to vote now? During the forum, all the candidates agreed the people should vote for the mayoral seat. We all answered to the best of our knowledge at the time. However, none of us, except maybe the one incumbent candidate, had the knowledge or the experience to know that there would be extra cost to the city when answering this question. To conclude, I believe that the money saved by delaying this referral could be spent on filling potholes and finishing the park projects. Delaying taking action on the charter revision will also avoid risking failure of the critical library and police levies. I am convinced that delaying a vote until the matter is thoroughly researched is not only the pragmatic, but also the fiscally responsible and most logical decision. Thank you for your consideration of these issues.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, point of privilege.
Yes.
It's getting difficult to hear, and so I believe a reminder to the audience would be appropriate. Thank you.
Going to remind everybody present that you all wanted your voices to be heard, so you need to be quiet as other voices are speaking into this microphone. It's hard to hear, especially with the fan in the background. So next person on the list is R.B. Lambert. State your name and your address for the record, please.
Rob Lambert, 4615 Long Street. And I came in just basically to add my voice to it. I think it's a little bit better idea for the people to all be able to have their say, vote for the mayor, not leave it up to just a handful of people. Because a handful of people, I think they're going to have pretty narrow thought processes on any given subject. Whereas you get everyone in the community has any interest in it, you're going to have, it's going to be a lot more diverse than just a handful of people. Some of us just want to vote, have our say. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. Next person, Renita Cohen.
Renita Cohen, 431. Get myself unhooked here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Blair.
Okay, here we go. 431 7th Avenue, Sweet Home. I am writing this down because it's easier for me when it is when I just speak
Please speak
my,
at the moment.
my
Please be
mind.
quiet in the background.
Okay.
Go ahead, Renita.
I am confused. Number one, I thought one of the basic rights as a United States citizen is the right to vote for my governing leaders. It seems like there is opposition to the people being able to have a voice in the election of their mayor. We have the opportunity to vote for city councilors. So why on earth would we not be able to vote for the mayor? It seems like it's a scheme, and I've heard this from many people, a scheme to keep the good old boys with the upper hand in governance. It may be something that people would say, oh no, that's not it. Well, then why on earth can the people not vote for a mayor? That does not make any sense to me in the United States of America. That is one of our basic privileges in this country is to be able to vote. I was born and raised in Sweet Home. I am a current resident, and I'm strongly in favor of letting the people of this community have a voice. Finally, I don't know how long we have to wait, how long we have to drag our feet on this thing. I don't know when or if ever the mayor has been elected in this city, but I know it hasn't been in my lifetime. So I am also afraid that if we put this off, it's going to get brushed under the rug like it always does. It won't come up again. Why on earth does we have to worry about a few dollars to have people's voice heard? I don't understand. Okay. I was at the well-attended candidates forum at the high school in the fall. And I recall all of the newly elected council members state that they were in favor of having the mayor elected. There was a response of thunderous applause. I don't know how many people were there, but there was quite a few. It wasn't 10, it wasn't 20, there was quite a few. Everybody that I was able to see was in favor of this, including those that wanted to be elected. I also watched the special work session concerning putting the election of mayor on the May ballot. I was extremely disappointed to hear 2 of the 3 reject this opportunity.
Thank you, Renita.
This is not. After I knew that the United States of America vote.
Vincent Mack. Name and address for the record, please.
Vincent Mack, 2415 Long Street. So a lot of concern about money. We can put 30, 40 more stop signs, but we can't put a name on the ballot. We can take and change 2 streets to a one-way. How much that cost? But we can't put a name on the ballot. So the people need heard. We need to put our names down and vote. So that's what I have, and I'm for voting and not being a follower. So that's it.
Thank you. Elizabeth Curtis.
Name is Elizabeth Curtis, 1769 12th Avenue. Thank you, City Council, for your service and dedication to our city. It's a huge work that you do. And City Council, I am making appeal, though, that there not be any changes made to the charter this year. There are major issues and changes happening globally right now, major issues happening nationally right now. Do we need to stir up the pot to make changes locally? Let us change the charter next year, waiting next year to put on the ballot without cost. Number 2, these changes, these kinds of issues override our system and break the spirit of the rule of law in our community. Pushing issues at the City Council bring disharmony to our community. What's the rush? There are goals and objectives the City Council already has for this year on the agenda. Why create more confusion? We have a representative form of government. We voted on our City Council. Why can't our City Council choose who best serve as the mayor? Also, voting for the mayor could be influenced by those who have more election money to sway the vote. The other thing, please let our City Council continue to focus on the plans and agendas they have set for our community this year. And thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you. Brandy Wysong Frick. Name and address for the record, please.
Brandy Wysong Frick, 4680 Long Street in Sweet Home, Oregon, 97386. Sorry, I've had a cold. Talking's hard. Sweet Home is in a growth cycle. We have now surpassed the 10,000 population mark and will continue to see slow but steady growth over the next decade. To be successful in a growth cycle, policies and procedures, along with legislation, have to be updated to continue to provide effective government to the citizens. Having an appointed mayor or a mayor appointed by the council has seemed to work just fine for years. But we are no longer the little town that we were when those decisions were made. At this point, we have to look beyond ourselves and our comfort levels and the way things have always been done and make the uncomfortable but inevitable decision to make our mayoral position elected in order to be in line with other towns our size. I know there's a lot of concerns about, would there be vacancies? The only other town in Lynn County that does things the way we still do is Millersburg, which is very small compared to us. So, Lebanon's obviously figured it out. Albany's figured it out. It's not fun. Change is not fun. It really isn't fun to think that we aren't the little town that we were anymore, but the population has been allowed to grow, and we have to set a foundation for the new Sweet Home and the Sweet Home that will continue to be in the future with the growth that will be happening. So that's it. Sorry, I know it's not been a fun night. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brandy. Sherry James.
Sherry James, 9. Florence, Eagle Point, Astoria, Lincoln City, North Bend, Malala, Sweet Home, Baker City, Independence, Silverton, Newport, Cottage Grove, Fairview, and Monmouth. These all have in common populations between 9,500 and 11,000. All of those vote for the mayor except for Sweet Home and Baker City. It is time, as we grow, to make those changes. I understand it's going to cost money. Thank you to the gentleman who did the math. I think we're all worth $1.30 each, if it is 10,000 bucks. However, the reason for the urgency, why are we pushing this? Because it's been shoved under the rug, it's been missed, it's been let go over and over. And people are starting to feel like their voices aren't heard. So I'm asking that you guys vote to do so. Let the people decide. If the majority of my town says, no, we don't want to vote for the mayor, then I have to respect that. And I absolutely will. But I think that it's time. I don't think we should be putting this off any further. I think we're worth the $1.30 a piece.
Gary Jarvis.
Good evening, city councilors and Madam Mayor. First of all, I would like to have a disclaimer. 2941 Foothills Drive. Thanks for the reminder. First, my name is Gary Jarvis. These are my personal thoughts and do not necessarily reflect the view of other members of the Charter Review Committee, of which I am a member. And I'm thankful for Mayor Coleman to put me on that Charter Review Committee. And the reason that I'm speaking tonight is because the Charter Review Committee may never get to this issue if you decide it tonight. And I am here to encourage you to decide that tonight. As a Vietnam-era veteran, I was one of the last of the group of 18 to 20-year-old men and women who were old enough to fight and die for our country, but not allowed to vote. I'll repeat that, not allowed to vote. Accordingly, my right to vote is very important to me. At 74, I'm a short timer. I want to vote, and the sooner the better. I've heard a lot of fear-based comments about directly electing the mayor, concerns over changes to the mayoral or council powers, comments like, we don't want chaos, and even, well, that would be mob rule democracy. Wow. There's been no proposal to change power, duties, or anything else, including any changes to the current mayor or her term of office. Only the single question being asked, will you let the people vote to decide the method of mayor selection? Period. Regardless of when this is put to the people, it's going to cost us because we pay for it with our city or our county tax dollars, depending on the year. By continuing to argue that it's about cost, you in fact may actually be poisoning the other ballot issues. I think we're tired of empty promises and the perpetual kicking of this can down the road. You're human, and there may be personal bias, since some of you seem less enthusiastic than you once were for an elected mayor. Perhaps it's that you don't like the prospect of running for mayor, possibly losing, and then being on the outside looking in, unless, of course, it's in the middle of your city council term. 6 of 7 councilors have stated, let the people vote for mayor. To quote former police chief Robert Burford when addressing city councilors some years ago on a slightly different issue, say what you mean and mean what you say. If you refuse to put the question to the people, it appears that you really don't want to know the answer to this question, and as our representatives, you should want to know. Change can be hard, but I think it's coming, and saying I won't let you vote on this may not serve any of us well, yourselves included, in the future. The irony is, as a 19-year-old military man, it was older folks that decided I couldn't vote. Now, if you don't give me that vote on this issue, it will be younger folks not.
Marie McCollum. Harry McCollum.
Hi, I'm Carrie McCullum, 1031 First Avenue. Um, wow, there's a lot of passion here tonight. I want to start with that. I've never been to a city council meeting before, and I've never seen this kind of passion before. On either side of the fence, I guess. Everybody has an opinion on whether or not to change it or to change it, and I am on the side of changing it. I thoroughly do believe that if you continue to have a cycle of council elected officials, you just in turn continue the establishment, and there is no change to be had. I understand I hear the money, and I hear people talking about the money and wanting to put it off. I don't think the money is the problem. I think that we do need to move that forward and move that on today's ballot, on this year's ballot, to be heard. You don't make change by putting it off, and you don't make change by not showing up. And I think that you do need to show up, and the change needs to be had. The money needs to be spent. And we clearly all as a community want to be heard. And that's what I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Susie Ford.
My name is Susie Ford, and I live at 609 6th Avenue. And I had to write notes because I get confused sometimes as to what I'm saying, especially when I'm a little nervous. But I want to say thank you for your service. It's a thankless job here, and we appreciate you all. I say we, my family and I. And Mayor Coleman, thank you for serving us. As a 25-year resident of Sweet Home, a former business owner here, and a community volunteer, which included serving on the City Budget Committee and the Library Board for years, I respectfully request the opportunity for the citizens of Sweet Home to elect a mayor by vote of the citizens, and as such, have this item be placed on the May 2025 ballot without delay. Thank you.
Pat Coleman.
Matt Coleman, 411 Nandina Street, Sweet Home. So I think some of these things have been said, but I'm going to say them. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for volunteering your time for our town. I really appreciate you serving us. So just basically, I wrote down, are we wasting our taxpayer dollars and the city's precious time to put this on the ballot for this May 2025? The 5 things that I wrote down under that is, we as a city already voted for you 7 counselors, and then trust that you will make an educated decision for the mayor to be the mayor. It costs more money to do it in May 2025. Why not wait until next year? We've already voted in a mayor for 2 years. Number 4, it doesn't change the election cycle until November 2026. And number 5, are there any other solid reasons to make this change other than just other people being mayor? Thank you.
I missed somebody who had signed up for recognition of visitors. This is somebody who doesn't actually vote on this issue, but I will call them forward now. Lives outside of Sweet Home, but welcome to come speak. Robert Egner is on the list here.
Hello, I'm Robert Egner. I live at 28628 Ridgeway Road. I'm here to remind all of our counselors tonight that we, our citizens, not me, our citizens, voted for you because you ran at some point in time. 6 of you ran at some point in time to put the mayor on the ballot. We just want you to do your job. Do what you were elected to do. Do what you said you were going to do. Recently, we have had our mayor, new council, people running, etc., say they aren't wanting to rush the process. Well, this isn't rushed. This has been being asked for many years. I'm here to ask you to remember who you are. Remember what you were elected to do. Be the people that you were elected by the people to be. A committee can come to fruition, but that's just kicking the can down the road. The committees that have come to fruition before have not done their job. All of you guys said you were going to do the job. You were elected to do that job. Do it. That's all you got to do. Do what you said you were going to do. That's really all I've got to say.
Okay, so that's the end of public comment. Thank you, everybody, for being here and speaking your mind. We can open up for further conversation from counselors. I would like to state that if you hear me vote no, please know that it's because I was elected by people who've asked me to. And it's not because I'm concerned about being elected or running for mayor. It's because people have told me they're concerned about the cost because it will not take effect until the end of 2026. I've also had people tell me that they are concerned about people who dump a lot of money into elections and then have won seats on this council. People that have lived outside of city limits who have spent a lot of money on elections and have won seats on this council. So in our charter and according to state law, You cannot be elected to council unless you live within city limits. And sometimes that rule has been broken because people have spent a lot of money on elections. So you could end up with a mayor who is not in city limits because they spend a lot of money on an election. This is exactly what people have said to me, those that have voted for me. So you need to know that when I vote, I'm voting on behalf of those who elected me. And I'm speaking as their voice here. I would also like to open up to other counselors if they have anything else that they would like to comment on this. Otherwise, we need to move forward with this meeting.
And Mayor, may I? So since you said something about being elected when you were living outside of the city, every one of us attests to living inside of the city, and everybody is allowed to challenge that attestation if they don't agree with that. And then it's allowed to proceed through an attorney. So if you ever at any time feel like there's somebody that does not live within inside city limits, you can challenge that. The mayor certifies every election as truthful and honest and elected by the people, but you all have an opportunity to challenge that. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, obviously, Facebook, what it reads, and will be thoroughly grilled, over the week for what we've done here. But I accept that. I also accept that I was the one in the community forum that said, 10,000 people should have more voice than 7. And I stand by that. And what I say, one of them also said in the community forum that fiscal responsibility was one of the most important things that I bring to the table and I believe in. And I also have said that pushing this back to 2026 is the best of all. You all still get a vote. We get to decide who our mayor will be, and we get plenty of time to work out the details. I stand by that. So let Facebook be what it is. Thank you.
May I? I also very much believe in fiscal responsibility with tax dollars. I also know that we were all voted on by the citizens to spend those tax dollars to do what they want us to do. And I have heard countless times over several years, long before I was up here, that we are one of the only communities that doesn't do that. And so doesn't have mayor on the ballot. And so I believe that although it is spending tax dollars, we're spending their tax dollars how they elected us to spend them. I'm in favor of putting it on this ballot.
Regarding the council and the seat of the mayor, I think one of the things that needs to be pointed out is that I think the reason that this was set up in the first place this way is not because we're a small town, but because we are a representative form of government. And just like we vote for representatives, we vote for senators, but we don't vote for the Speaker of the House, and we don't vote for the Senate President. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why. And I hear that people want to have a voice in the mayor. And I'm not opposed to the Charter Review Committee coming back with that and putting it on. But in a Charter Review Committee, we can work out the details of not having a seat or having an unelected seat on the council. And I just want to make that clear as well. And I don't think that will go against those that have spoken to me, not in this meeting. Any other counselors that would like to speak to this? Councilor Hagee or Pro Tem Thorstad? Heard from you.
I have one other question, if I may.
Yes.
If this goes to the ballot, if we vote that through, my understanding from the city attorney is that the Charter Review Committee, before we actually vote on a mayor, after your term is up, we could work out how these vacancies would be handled. So we could essentially put this on the ballot, that people could vote for it, but there would still be time for the Charter Review Committee to give their input on how the vacancies. Am I understanding that correctly?
So
Yes, there are multiple elections between now and when this would take effect. And so just like this particular amendment could be done at later elections, a further amendment could also be done at later elections. In fact, I was just talking with Mr. Jarvis prior to the meeting. He mentioned some that we do already have some areas of our charter that are directly contradictory with each other, and that probably arose from various amendments over the years. Of course, the problem that you run into is you don't know which of those amendments will actually pass. And so yes, you can say we'll do the housekeeping later, but for all you know, this will pass and the housekeeping won't. And so if you want the best chance of keeping your, I'm a lawyer, so I'm in favor of legislation that makes sense and clarity in language. If you want a charter that is consistent with itself, it's best to put those amendments in the same amendment so that if it fails and you haven't changed anything, or if it passes, it's that measure that passed is consistent with everything else, and you don't have to go back and try to fix it, and again, not knowing whether it will succeed.
And you said there were multiple elections, however. So if we put this on this upcoming ballot, and then if there were amendments that didn't go through, we would have another opportunity to amend the amendments, if you will.
I mean,
if needed.
I suppose you can amend.
So we have opportunity.
This particular amendment takes effect. The first time anybody would vote for mayor is November of 2026. Prior to that, there is the May 2026 election. There's the November 2025 election, and then there's the May 2025 election. So there's 3 total. You could, if you wanted, have a ballot measure on each of those 3 if you wish.
I have another question as well from staff. Has there been any other formal request to have this changed since 2021? People keep saying this has been pushed off or pushed under the rug, and I'm just trying to clarify because I have not heard anything formally brought to council regarding this.
No, not to my knowledge.
If I may, Madam Mayor, I was one of the staff liaisons for that Charter Review Committee in 2021, and there were a number of things that were discussed. One of them being the not having to read the ordinances out loud entirely, as those who have gone to a 7-hour council meeting know that can be annoying. They did discuss the mayor position at that Charter Review Committee, and there were other items that they discussed. The committee was only able to come to an agreement on one, that was the reading of the ordinances out loud, but they determined that that wasn't a significant enough change to merit putting it on the ballot. And then since then, there has not been any talk of another charter review committee, nor has there anyone come forth with a proposal to change the charter since that time.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I? I apologize. I don't have my laptop. It hasn't been working properly, but I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution number 6, 2025, charter amendment referral for the direct election of the mayor.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. Angela, please call for a vote.
Counselor Richards,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorsten,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
No.
Counselor Osberger,
Yes.
Counselor Bronson,
A city attorney, point of order. Is a counselor allowed to abstain with a?
and Counselor Heggie.
No.
Let the record show that we have 4 ayes, 2 nays, and 1 abstention. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. request for council action, ordinance number 1 for 2025, ordinance number 1330.
And once again, I'll turn it over to City Attorney Larson.
So this was brought up at the last council meeting. Again, it's a housekeeping bill for various ordinances to be amended because they did not have the proper enacting clause. And so this corrects it. This is up for a third reading tonight by title only. And it is ordinance bill number 1 for 2025, ordinance number 1330, Sweet Home Ordinance amending ordinance number 427, 825, 975, 1224, and 1322 pertaining to charter enacting clause with expediency clause.
Any questions of counselors?
So since this was voted on at the last meeting for a third reading, what we are looking for now would be a vote of the council to formally adopt the ordinance.
So moved.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Angela, please call for a vote.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Osberger,
Yes.
Counselor Bronson,
Yes.
Counselor Heggie,
Yes.
and Counselor Richards.
Yep.
Let the record show that with 7 ayes and no nays to approve this ordinance. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, reports of committees and reports from counselors.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So the Parks Committee, we met and discussed some stuff, the beautification group. Yeah, committee. They got some stuff. They're kind of planning out the season, ordering flowers, getting it ready for the median plant, and then also the entrances into town. Also, Arbor Day is going to be, double check, April 26th. So at Sankey Park, trees have been ordered and are going to be planted ahead of time. But it's going to be just a fun time we're going to have some different activities. Yeah, so that's all I have.
We have a time for that April 26th event. Last year I scheduled it for the morning and then I left for the afternoon and it was in the afternoon. So I'd love to know when the time
Yes,
is.
so it will be the same time. So it's April 26th starts at 2:00. There will be kind of a voluntary ivy pole in Upper Sankey Park early in the morning. That's just the Park and Tree Committee are going to do kind of a work day, but volunteers are welcome. I will be putting out flyers here soon. I'm just confirming information with the Park and Tree Committee, but it's not just Arbor Day. We celebrate Kid to Park Day also. It's kind of a joint celebration. We will be celebrating trees, and that certifies our Tree City USA, which is where this comes from. And then we will have kid activities. There will be different games and activities going on. There will also be some free seedling giveaways and some different swag and stuff for the kids. So a lot of activities. So I will probably have a flyer for you at the next meeting. I'm just waiting for some confirmation from the committee.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Counselor Heggie, for giving that report. Any other reports from counselors?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Community Health Committee meets tomorrow at 4:00 in this building. So I'll report in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
May I?
Yes.
The library board was canceled due to the snow, and so I am looking forward to attending the first meeting in March. So I'll report back later.
Department reports. There is the police department report for January 2025, and the numbers look pretty good.
Yeah, I was just kind of perusing those. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, this year, January compared to last year for like person crimes down 21%, property crimes down almost 6.5%, society crimes down 48%. I mean, wow. Not sure what's going on. That's pretty exciting though. And then obviously our traffic related stats, you can see that citations issued are up significantly in a lot of categories. So yeah, on the PD side of things, I'm thankful for our team out there working hard, and I think they just do a phenomenal job, and I'm just thankful.
Great. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, reports of city officials, city managers report.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. Once again, I'll keep it brief tonight, but I just wanted to thank Public Works and the Police Department for their quick responses yesterday during the high winds. There were several incidents and quite a lot of debris, and they took care of that in no time at all. So thank you.
Mayor's report. I just have a few short items since we're getting late here. I just wanted to say thank you to the 398 individuals who participated in the survey. I've reviewed some of the results, and they'll be going out to share, but also I'll be bringing them to our goal setting session, just so you can hear from the community members that we've surveyed. The History Jamboree will be coming March 28th and 29th. It is an organization, Drowned Towns is what the organization is, and they are going to be hosting what's called a History Jamboree to find out the history of Foster before it was flooded to build the Foster Dam. And they actually take record of this, and they keep a record on it online. And it's just a way to honor the history of Foster, but also they just are gathering information. So they like to do audio recording and writing down of history, and also looking at artifacts and seeing pictures and stuff just to see what the town was like before. So that's happening at the Evangelical Church. It's the same weekend as the Rock and Gem Show, and they're hosting it at the Evangelical Church just for ease of access for everybody who's going to both events. There's also the Sweet Home Early Literacy Program. That's in full swing at the school district right now. Anybody who's interested can contact Shauna McIntyre at the school district. If you would like to help literacy in the city of Sweet Home, you would need to pass a background check and fill out an volunteer application, and then you would be connected with a teacher and to help children learn to read. So that's all I have to say tonight. Any other council business for the good of the order?
But I'm going to tell you about them. Okay. High school cheer squad. They finished second in state here 2 weeks ago. Is that right? And our chief here has a daughter on that squad. High school swim squad. The girls, they finished as district champs. The boys were second place in district. Now, that means for 50 years in a row, either the boys or the girls or both have been district champs. That's pretty amazing. Then they went on the state this last weekend. The girls finished second, and they had a couple of athletes who were individual place winners. And the boys finished eighth, and they didn't have any first place winners, but they did have 3 boys that were medalists. And there was other girls who medaled as well. Going on to wrestling. 10 days back was the girls District 2 regional championships. Our girls finished second in that. 4 girls will be going on to state, which is this weekend up in Portland on Friday and Saturday. And the boys, their regional 2 district was just this last week. They killed it. I mean, 18 of those young men are going on to state. 18, that's pretty amazing, on to state this year. So February 8th, we had a fun run down at Sankey Park. That was a 10K and a 5K run and walk. That was for the New Era, our local paper that does such a fine job on reporting all these things going on in our community, in particular our youth and what they're doing. We raised $2,672. That was to assist the New Era getting back on their feet since the previous owners had to come back in and take over there. And that will be flowing through the Sweet Home Community Foundation to help pay 50% of the non-personnel printing costs. And that will be enough to run 4 weeks worth of that. So I want to thank the Sweet Home Rotary Club and members in this room who are helping out with that. and Steelhead Fitness and the Sweet Home Chamber, the Sweet Home Community Foundation and their efforts and stepping up and letting the funds flow through them. So, and thank all of you for being part of our community. That's it.
Thank you, Councilor Bronson. Any other council business for the good of the order?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Mhm.
So I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out today to engage with the city council. I just wish that everybody would continue to come out and engage with us. It is very hard to know what the community is thinking or saying unless you come into the chamber and talk to us on the record. So for taking time out of your evening and spending with us today, I'm just so proud of everybody who stood up for their community. Secondly, there's a website called OrStar. So if you're interested in who's filing petitions, who's filing recalls, who's spending money on this, that, or the other, you can take it upon yourself and go log into that website and find out the accurate information to verify what's been going around on the community. You will see that there is no recall against Mayor Coleman. You will see that there has never been a recall ran on anybody in this community. You will see exactly where everybody spends their money for their campaigns and how they've spent it. You would see that I spent my money at the New Era to support a small business in our community when I ran for re-election because there was people trying to unseat me. You will also find out that campaign finance reform is coming and people will be gravely limited on the amount of money that they can spend on elections starting in 2027. It's a new process that's coming. So I encourage everybody in the community to take it upon themselves and to do due diligence and research and find out what's true and what's not by that website that the state provides called OrStar. Thank you.
Any other council business for the good of the order? No? With that, I will end this meeting at 8:26 p.m.